So while I play, go ahead and tell me and everybody what's
This is WrestleQuest. It's the world's first pro wrestling RPG. Combines sort of the best aspects of pro wrestling and turn-based RPGs into one. The way we like to think about it is we took a turn-based RPG and tried to WrestleFy it. So we think about like all the great things about RPGs and we try to make those like more wrestling based. So you think about like an RPG, you'd have like a fantasy setting. You have your wizard that casts spells. Well, we got that too, except it's suplexes. And so we got a lot of great people in the game. We have about 40 licensed wrestlers in the game. We got the Macho Man Randy Savage, Andre the Giant, Jake the Snake Roberts, the Road Warriors, tons of guys in the game.
And what I understand from the premise, it's not the wrestlers as much as their toy version.
Yeah. So it's a toy room that you're in. And so it's sort of this mix of pro wrestling and Toy Story as well, right? So, and the reason why we ended up going with that was because when we were talking about our like experience growing up watching pro wrestling, we talked about like the toys we play with. You know, you didn't have every single pro wrestler action figure. You had like maybe one or maybe two. And so you'd end up having them wrestle all their toys. We're like, how great would that be if that was like an angle on it? And so now we're making up like wrestling stories for these like stuffed dinosaurs and stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. All the intros are really nice too.
Yeah, and so all the walk-ons as you get through the game, they're fully customizable. You can make your own walk-ons for your characters. And those are elements that you'll unlock throughout the game. So you'll find like a treasure chest that has like a new entrance theme in it.
All right. So what kind of features have been added by now? Because you've been doing this for a while that you might have not even thought of at the beginning that you now had put in. Is there anything that you added onto it?
Yeah, so this has been a pretty wild experience. So we've been developing this version of the game for about 3 years now. It originally started as a wrestling game. We were just going to make a 2D pixel art wrestling game. And as we came up with more and more ideas for it, we're like, we don't want to make a wrestling game. We want to make a game about wrestling is what we want to do. And so it sort of grew into this RPG. And so from there, like we looked at features we could add to an RPG that would tie it into wrestling. So your characters, once you build a party of like around 3 characters, you can start doing tag team maneuvers. So like you can queue people up to like do a tag team maneuver and pick another person. Each combination of characters has their own maneuvers.
You can design your own special maneuvers as well?
No, you can design your own maneuvers, but yeah, so the things you can customize by your character are the walk-ons. You can also pick an archetype for the character. Like what kind of wrestler are they going to be? Are they going to be a more technical guy? Are they going to be a heavy hitter? Are they going to be like a showman and do a lot of taunting? And all of those will have their own strengths and weaknesses to them.
Okay, so you make your customized character, right? You play with, and then you meet all these other famous wrestlers throughout the game, and different toys is what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And the fun thing we have about a lot of the real life wrestlers is they'll have their own unique side quest to each of them, which will either unlock them to like be summons for you or give you items that are related to them. So when you do like Andre the Giant side quest, when you finish it, you can actually summon him in and fights from then on out, and he'll like come in and pick the whole ring up and slam it down.
So you really start creating sort of your own group, your own league or allegiances with your wrestlers.
Yeah, and on top of that, there's also a morality system. So if you want to become a face or a heel, you can do that.
You beat me too. I was just going to add, you could be a face or a heel or change back and forth.
You can't change back and forth. Yeah, because there's a series of moral options you can take, and that'll actually affect things like you have managers in the game, like you have wrestling, and you can call them out, and they'll like have like little abilities to help you out. If you're a heel, you're going to get heel managers. If you're a face, you're going to get face managers. Like the face managers might heal you up while the heel ones are like doing detrimental things to the other people.
How much of the game versus story and combat? Like what's the percentage? Like it's 50-50?
Gameplay versus story?
Yes.
So, I mean, it's an RPG, so it's very story driven. I mean, every step of the way, you're following the story of these multiple characters. Right now, you're playing as Macho Man, Randy Santos. He's a young guy that grew up idolizing the Macho Man Randy Savage. He wanted to be just like him when he grew up. And then when he started playing the game, he is grown up, but he's just kind of working in the gym. He hasn't quite made it yet. And so his story is all about breaking into the business. Another character we have to play as Brink Logan, who's like comes from a big like Canadian style wrestling family. He wrestles for his dad's federation. but he's doing what's best for his family. So he's like losing matches to guys to put them over. And he wants more than that. He wants to become a star. So his story is all about like becoming a bigger star than he is already. But you'll meet other characters throughout the game that represent other parts of a wrestler's journey. So there's the luchador. He's half fish, half luchador. Okay. But he sort of represents our like grizzled veteran in the storyline. So he's been the guy that's been wrestling for a real long time. And his storyline's all about like how he needs to balance like missing out things with his family versus his career, and how that like plays out for a guy that's been doing it for a really long time.
Right. What is your favorite I would just say wrestler, but a period of wrestling?
My favorite period of wrestling? I'm gonna not say a period as much as a style. I'm a big luchador guy. I love Mexican wrestling. I saw a wrestling match, a WCW pay-per-view in the 90s, that it was the moment I became a wrestling fan. I always thought wrestling was cool, but it was the moment I became a big fan. And it was an 8-man luchador tag team match. And it was like the opening match of the pay-per-view. And so the match ends, and the guy that went on to become my favorite wrestler, La Parca, his team loses. And so he gets in the ring with a steel folding chair, takes out the opponent's team one by one. So one of his teammates gets in the ring, goes to shake his hand, and he starts taking his own teammates out one by one, grabs his chair and just struts out of the ring. That was the moment where like, that got me. I am now a wrestling fan. And so what's great is we actually got him in the game. It's like him and his sons are in the game, and they have their own storyline you go through. And that happens at the end of the storyline, is he just starts taking everybody out.
That's fantastic. So that really was it for you then, bro.
That was it. That was the moment where like I was hooked from that point on.
That's a great story. And it's great that you have him in the game as well.
Yeah, that was pretty exciting for me.
So how many hours of gameplay you think we're going to be looking at here?
We're looking at about 40 hours of gameplay.
It's good, solid.
Yeah.
And is everybody going to see the same experience, or does it change a little bit on choices?
So there's going to be some changes based off of choices they make. Also, when I say 40 hours, that's a lot of side stuff too. Like I said, a lot of the licensed pro wrestlers have their own side stories you can do. Like Jeff Jarrett has one where someone steals his guitar and you have to go find it for him.
That's very. Thanks, Randy. Press A to the. This is very nice. All right. I like this. This is good stuff.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a long time coming, man. Like I said, this version of this game, like just this specific version of it, it's been about 3 years in development.
Very cool. What are you now expecting it to be released this year?
Yeah, it's going to be coming out this year, all major platforms. Can't get more specific than that.
That's fine. That's fair.
But PC and all the consoles, and sometime this year.
Okay. And you got a whole bunch of different licensed wrestlers in there. So that seems like they're on board.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I will say probably one of the biggest swelling of pride that we had in the office was we come in one day and our CEO, who's doing a lot of the licensing stuff, pull us all in, is like, so adopted. I heard back from Andre the Giant's estate. They said this is something he absolutely would have wanted to do. I'm like, oh my God, that is like one of the proudest moments you could possibly have as someone who grew up with this stuff.
Fantastic, yeah. Well, we're looking forward to WrestleQuest. Thank you. And yeah, we're looking forward to it. So I appreciate you taking the time to show us this game.
Yeah, thanks for playing it.
Hopefully we get to check it out soon this year. WrestleQuest all platforms.
All right, thanks.